Yo, what's going on everybody? Servo here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the next update. And I'm not talking about the update with Vanellope that's supposedly coming out here in like July. I mean like the next update, the next massive expansion that we should be receiving sometime in September. Now, everything we talk about in this video is purely just speculation. It's just my guess and my prediction of what I think is going to go down and how the game is actually going to be kind of set up for the next like few years. And I want this video to be something that I can look back on and see how close I actually got to it. Now, before we jump into the video, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it. So there've been a few key things with the like story that we just wrapped up on Act 1 that points to like different ways that I think the game's gonna pan out. Ultimately, I think what's gonna happen is we're gonna have a really decent sized update here in like July, which is gonna have like Vanellope and hopefully a little bit more like towards the stories, because update 5 really didn't have a ton of stuff. It was like short and sweet, you know, like it was a really great update. There just wasn't much to it. And I think that's going to change in September. So we have had a full year of content. You know, when we bought the game in early access, we paid like at least $30 and we got a year's worth of content with the free updates. And I think that's going to continue to keep going forward starting in September, which is going to be the 1 year mark. I think that's when we're going to get the actual paid expansion. Now, they did say that they were going to start making us pay for like full-on expansions going forward. And just based on how Act 1 has been wrapped up and we pretty much got a whole year's worth of content for $30, I think we're going to have to pay again. Which I know is going to be a huge bummer to some, but I'm pretty sure in September it's not going to be free. I'm 99% sure that we're going to have to pay money for September, and that's going to give us content from like September of 2023 until like September of 2024. So what could this look like? Obviously, it's going to have to be a very large update, you know, like it has to have a lot of stuff to it and a handful of characters. And I actually think they've already had this prepped up for a while now, even before they released the game. So we know Jafar is coming. They showed him in the little after credits scene. So he's going to be like a big villain. But I don't think it's going to be something like we just hear about him. I think he's going to meet us and greet us pretty early on with the next expansion. And we also know in the Dark Castle, there's a drawing on the wall that shows 3 new biomes. And I think this is going to be a completely different valley. So I think expansion 1 is going to have a whole another valley that you can actually go to, and it's going to have more quests, new characters, hopefully new items to actually be able to obtain. And I say this because whenever we wrapped up Act 1, Merlin says something that's really interesting about there being more valleys out there. He's letting you know that there's not just Dreamlight Valley, like there's other biomes. And then they showed off in a roadmap for the game that there are new and upcoming like frontiers. The frontiers, I'm pretty sure, mean new like biomes, like that's what it has to mean. So with a lot of the stuff, that's why I say, and they obviously have to fund the game, which they have been doing through microtransactions, but I'm pretty sure the way this game is going to go, you're going to have one expansion a year. Now that expansion is going to have multiple updates within it. So you're going to have to keep buying the game essentially like over and over, which is okay. I mean, if the standard edition for the expansion is $30, that's not that bad if you get a year's worth of free updates. You know, of course, they're still going to add stuff in the premium shop. And they're still going to add like little side extra stories that aren't part of the main story, kind of like the Wally bundle. But the core updates, I do believe, are going to be added on within that. Now, what kind of worries me, I'm obviously somebody that loves to have every item in the game. And while I haven't bought all the microtransaction items or the stuff out of the premium shop, but the actual base game items I would love to have. And I have a feeling that whenever they release these expansions, you're going to have like the standard $30 edition, But then you're also going to have the choice to purchase like a $50 and a $70 edition, just like when we first purchased this game. And that's going to be a bummer, because then instead of like spending $30 a year to play this game, it's going to start being like $70. And after a while, that's going to add up on top of the other stuff that you may spend in the premium shop. But they know some of us, especially me as a sucker, I'm gonna buy the most expensive edition. So I do think they're gonna have a special edition with some like exclusive items in it. But that's just kind of where I'm thinking that this game is heading. I've seen this method in other games. For example, Destiny 2 is a game I play, and they do the same thing. Like every few months they release it. Actually, it's like almost a full year. They release an expansion, like an actual full-size one, which has content going for the next like 3 or 4 months. And then they'll have like another update, and then 3 or 4 months, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of looking like this game is going to be in acts. So the first year we had Act 1. They spaced out the content for a year. They charged us $30 for it. And then the next year is going to be Act 2, and then Act 3, and then so on and so forth. Again, it's not really going to bother me personally too much if I have to essentially buy the game again if they give us a lot of content. Like whenever Act 2 drops, it has to have a handful of new characters with friendship quests. Like they have to give us a lot at the beginning, because they can't just like charge for an expansion and then just say, well, you have a lot of content, it's just going to be spaced out, right? So it has to be a lot at the beginning and then space out some more content, if that makes sense. Now, how is this going to work with free-to-play? Do I think this is going to go free-to-play in September? I do. I do believe this game is going free-to-play at the 1-year mark. At first, I originally thought it was going to be maybe October, but I do have a feeling it's going to be free-to-play starting September when they release this expansion. So all those people that haven't played this game, they're going to get it free to play, and they're going to be playing what we have been playing for the past year. They're going to have access to Act 1 and all those characters and play it completely free. But I feel like they're also going to hit that wall where they get to Act 2, and I don't think Act 2 is going to be free. I think that's when it gets onto the expansions and you have to start paying for them, because they did state on their website that the main story is going to be free and then expansions are going to be paid for later. So I believe the Act 1 they're going to say is like the main story, that's the free to play of the game, and then that's it. Like you're not going to have access to any more unless you start buying the expansions. Now they could also do it where there's like a exclusivity, like how to word this, make it like exclusive for people that buy. So kind of like how we had early access, we paid the money, we have access to it. So if you're playing free to play, you wouldn't have access to the first expansion until maybe a year in. So you wouldn't have access to that until 2024, until it went free to play. So you would have a year to choose if you want to either buy it and have early access, or wait a year and then it go to free to play. So it's kind of like the free to play players are always behind by a whole year, if that makes sense. I could see it going that way, because I've also seen games do that where they have like exclusive like contracts based on whether you're on a certain platform, but in this game it would be based on if you actually paid for it. But these are just my thoughts on how I think it's going to go. I could be completely wrong, but I just want to prepare you guys in case that is what it is. So you might have to, if you don't have the extra money, do what you can to save a few dollars back here and there until hopefully get up like $30 by September if you want the new content. Because I firmly believe it's going to be paid. And if it's not, and I'm completely wrong, then that's absolutely awesome, and good for Gameloft that they kept the main story going. On the bright side, if it is paid, I think that's more reason that it's actually going to have a ton of content, which is something we've been lacking in Dreamlight Valley for a while. We do get updates really frequently, which I'm happy. They've just been kind of lackluster. It's almost like each update's been getting less and less content. So I'm really due for a massive update that changes the game, adds a whole slew of new characters, new features in it. And if we get a whole island, That would feel really weird, you know, to be able to play this game and be on a completely different island. You know, we're so used to Dreamlight Valley, like that island always on here. So being on another valley, that'd be cool. And then how do we actually get there? Do we just teleport there like on a realm? Or do we access it through like Skull Rock, like the Skull Cave over by the beach, Dazzle Beach? Do we just go through there and it teleports us to the island? And then are the characters on Dreamlight Valley going to be able to interact with the characters in the new valley? I'm really not sure. And then what happens when multiplayer comes, you know? So I think if this is how they do it and we have to pay more, I think year 2, Act 2 is going to be great because we're going to have new story characters and all that. And then we also have multiplayer, which they said it's going to release before the end of the year. So it has to be somewhere in that October to December window for us to get multiplayer, which is going to be super fun. And then if they keep making updates with new characters, I think Dreamlight Valley is going to be really big. And you have to keep in mind, once this game goes to free to play, I really think it's going to super explode in popularity, which is going to bring, you know, it's really going to liven up the community more. We're going to have so many more members, so many more people playing this game, sharing builds, and then whatever the features are in multiplayer, are we allowed to actually design our own clothing and then share it with other players? Kind of like on Animal Crossing, are we going to be able to help each other build? I don't know. I think year 2 is going to be really, really big for this game, and I'm super excited for it. Again, the whole microtransaction situation, I don't think that's ever going to go away. I think that's kind of just the world we live in now. You know, it's not even Dreamlight Valley, it's like every game. So we're kind of at a point in the whole like video game industry that we're going to have to keep shelling out money for more content and cosmetics and things like that. But you can avoid buying the stuff in the premium shop, but I know you can't really avoid buying the expansion. So I do hope they keep it on the lower end, you know, $20-$30, because not everyone's going to be able to afford to keep buying these. But if it's just like one payment for a whole year's worth of content, I think that's pretty reasonable. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I really want to know your ideas. That's my idea on how I think this is going to work. And then, of course, we're going to have new content with Vanellope. I don't know how large that's going to be. I don't see it being very large. I think it's going to be just a little bit something to get us to September. But September is going to be big. And then they told us that in October, we have a really big update in October as well. I don't know if that's going to introduce like Maleficent or some new villains, or if it's just like a really big Halloween update. Either way, the future of Dreamlight Valley is looking pretty good. And yeah, I'm really excited to experience it with you guys. But again, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I love reading what everybody thinks that they're going to bring to the game. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.